wrapped up in bandages, so maybe that's a reason. But I liked this. I thought, hell yeah, go get him, right? Again, it's a thing we all want to root for. If somebody kidnapped somebody and busted their fingers up, we'd root for that person to go kick that person's ass.
Yeah, and I think, if you want to stay in kayfabe, it would make sense that Billy Gunn might say to himself, "Hey, I'm going to take a week to recover. Now I feel good. So now I'm going to take the opportunity to try to beat up Swerve because, again, he kidnapped me and injured my hand somehow." Again, we don't know how or what he did, but that's not important. The other thing I liked about this 8-man tag is a lot of the stories meshing and kind of bumping into each other. So you had Swerve in Our Glory. First thing I noticed there, Swerve in Our Glory comes out. It's always Swerve first, then Keith Lee second. For as long as I can remember that this tag team's been a tag team, Swerve comes out first, Keith Lee comes out. They do a little fist bump and then they walk to the ring. They did not do that this time. Thought that was interesting, maybe causing still some bigger rifts between Swerve and Keith Lee. Who knows? Maybe Keith Lee cedes to the dark side and joins Swerve as a heel. Could see that. But then they're bumping into the Gun Club, who also wanted to be the champs, but kind of want to go after FTR. But the biggest one was after they cleared the ring, FTR and the Acclaim looking at each other saying, well, we're going to eventually do this, right? And that was interesting that they were able to coexist during this matchup, ends up picking up the victory, but also has that tension. So we're still a week away from Full Gear. It is advertised Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. I guess one I'll say, or one I'll ask, do you think we still get that matchup? I kind of still maybe don't think so. And two, what do you think about FTR, the Acclaim? Do you want to see that matchup?
That is the part that's kind of getting lost for me, is that I don't really know that I'm not too bought in on who's going to win these tag team championships out of this whole story. I'm more focused in on what is going to happen with Swerve and Keith Lee, right? It's kind of taken that on, and FTR feels really out of place, and so does the Acclaimed outside of their kind of the setting for this to take place between Keith Lee and Swerve. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just kind of left with a little bit of apathy other than for the Swerve and Keith Lee aspect.
I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, I kept thinking that we're going to see Swerve break up and then FTR would say, "Hey, if there's an opportunity, we'll take it." See you at the pay-per-view, Acclaimed. But now that I'm kind of thinking it through as we read through what happened last night, one thing that I think I need to still consider is December 10th, I believe it is. And again, we don't fact check. Uh, we will have a Ring of Honor pay per view. So I think we'll still keep this matchup of Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaim for Full Gear. And then I think we're going to see the Ass Boys taking on FTR for the Ring of Honor championships. Now, what happens there, we'll see when it happens. But yeah, I kept thinking that we're going to get a Swerve, pun intended,
Mm-hmm.
and then the switch up of the matchup we've been wanting. Because I don't know about you, but the third time seeing the Acclaim taking on the FTR at a big event, a pay per view, then one of those specialty Dynamite shows, and then now another pay per view. I don't know, in the rich tradition of AEW tag teams where they've had Young Bucks and FTR and Best Friends and Santana and Ortiz, all these Lucha Bros, all of this stuff, that a three-peat between Swerve in Our Glory and the Acclaimed is the pinnacle for AEW tag team wrestling. That's why I kept thinking there was going to be a switch here, but maybe I'm jumping the gun.
Maybe.
All right, let's move on to after the Acclaimed and FTR pick up the victory, we get MJF talking about the firm on Pardon My Take. And Tim, a lot of great things happened on this episode, as we're obviously going to talk about. Good in-ring action, very solid promo work from almost everyone involved. But I thought this specifically was the chef's kiss of the week as far as how to do a plug of someone else and showing that you're big time and still getting your shit in. To do a Pardon My Take, because we've seen for as long as wrestling's been around, hey, WWE's mentioned in Sports Illustrated, WWE's mentioned in Forbes, AEW's mentioned on